Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the single most complex machine we know of anywhere in the universe. We're talking about that intricate electrical and chemical network that literally makes you, well, you. We're talking about the nervous system.
All right, let's just start with a number that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. 86 billion. That's roughly how many specialized messenger cells, or neurons, you have crammed inside your brain. Every single one is like a tiny little computer, and together they form a network of just staggering complexity.
So what is this system, really? Well, you can think of it as the biological hardware and software that runs your entire life. It's the command center behind every single thought you have, every emotion you feel, and every move you make.
Now, to even begin to get a handle on this incredible system, we've got to break it down. The best way to think about it is like a government with two major branches. You've got the deliberate command center that you actively control, and then there's the automatic pilot system that just runs in the background.
First up is the central nervous system, or CNS. This is pretty straightforward. It's your brain and your spinal cord. This is the CEO of your body. It's in charge of processing all the big data, making the conscious decisions, and sending out the big executive orders.
And then you've got the autonomic nervous system, the ANS. This is your brilliant autopilot. It's the silent, tireless manager that handles all the critical stuff you never ever have to think about, like keeping your heart beating, your lungs breathing, and your food digesting.
And that autopilot system, it basically has two modes that work in opposition, kind of like a gas pedal and a brake. The sympathetic division, that's your fight or flight response. It floors the gas pedal when you sense danger, jacking up your heart rate and making you super alert. On the flip side, the parasympathetic division is your rest and digest system. It gently applies the brakes, calming everything down to conserve energy and manage the body's daily upkeep.
Okay, so we've got this vast control system, right? We've got our conscious CEO and our automatic pilot. So now, let's zoom right into the executive headquarters itself, the brain, and take a little tour of the main departments.
The first thing you'd notice is the sheer dominance of one particular part, the cerebrum. I mean, look at this. It makes up a massive 85% of the brain's total weight. This is the main event. It's the seat of all your higher-level thinking, your personality, and pretty much all your voluntary actions.
Now, that giant cerebrum is divided into 4 key regions, or lobes. Let's start right at the front with the frontal lobe. You can think of this as the brain's C-suite, the executive office. It's responsible for all the big picture stuff, planning, problem solving, and even your personality itself.
And we know just how critical this area is, often from tragic cases of brain injury. I mean, as this quote from a '94 study points out, damage to the frontal lobe, it doesn't just affect your ability to move or talk. It can fundamentally change a person's judgment, their personality, the very core of who they are.
Okay, moving back from the front, we get to the parietal lobe. This is your master sensory integrator. It's constantly taking all the raw data from your sense of touch, pressure, temperature, pain, and it uses it to build a live map of your body in space. It's literally how you can touch your nose with your eyes closed.
Next up, located on the sides of your head, are the temporal lobes. These are your audio and memory hubs. They are processing sound, allowing you to understand language, and they are absolutely essential for locking in long-term memories and recognizing all those familiar faces in your life.
And finally, tucked away at the very back of the brain, we find the occipital lobe. This department is a total specialist. It's dedicated almost entirely to one single crucial task, processing every single thing you see. It's what turns the light hitting your eyes into the rich, colorful, moving world you actually experience.
So you have to wonder, how do all these different lobes, these massive brain structures, how do they actually get any work done? Well, it all comes down to those billions of microscopic messengers we talked about at the start. It all comes down to the fundamental building block, the neuron.
So let's follow the path a single message takes through one of these amazing little cells. First, a signal comes in through these branch-like dendrites. It gets processed in the main cell body, or the soma, and if that signal is strong enough, bam, a new electrical impulse is fired all the way down that long tail, the axon, to be passed on to the next neuron. Now, for this whole process to be super fast and efficient, many of those axons are wrapped in an insulator called the myelin sheath. It works just like the plastic coating on an electrical wire, preventing the signal from fizzling out. And we really see its importance in diseases like multiple sclerosis, where damage to this fatty sheath can severely slow down or even stop communication between neurons.
So let's zoom in one last time and witness the real magic of how all this works. How does one of these tiny cells actually talk to the next one in line? Well, it's this beautiful two-part process. First, an electrical spark, followed by a chemical handshake.
The first part is that electrical spark. It's called an action potential. See, a neuron normally just sits there in a negative resting state, but when it gets stimulated enough, these little channels fly open, positive ions rush in, and the voltage just spikes dramatically. This creates this powerful all-or-nothing electrical wave that just surges down the axon.
And how fast are we talking? In those well-insulated myelinated neurons, these signals can travel at speeds up to 120 meters per second. To put that in perspective, that's about the cruising speed of a commercial airplane, an impulse traveling inside your own head at the speed of a jet. So when that lightning-fast electrical signal reaches the very end of the line, it triggers part 2 of the process, the chemical handshake. It causes the release of these little chemical messengers, we call them neurotransmitters, which then float across a tiny, tiny gap to deliver the message to the next neuron in the chain.
So, there you have it. From the grand divisions of the nervous system all the way down to the microscopic spark of a single neuron firing. That is the machinery of you. Which of course leaves us with one final, profound thought to ponder. If it all boils down to these intricate patterns of electricity and chemistry, what then is the ghost in the machine? What truly makes you, you?